I would say the driver was knowing that I had this quadplex in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where now I had all four units that I was doing rental arbitrage in, and my monthly rents still are 5,300 a month for that one property. And I'm
Hmm.
like, let's do the math here. If I owned this building,
Yeah.
my mortgage would be half of this. What am I doing? What am I, why, what am I doing?
And
I
what was
need
the
to get
spread? Like what do you generally make as a short-term rental on those four?
on that property.
Yeah.
So in the summertime, which is the high season in Grand Rapids, I was profiting probably 1,000 per unit.
Okay.
So it was a decent return. But on my property that I now own, my quadplex in Michigan City, I'm doubling, sometimes tripling that.
Yeah.
So it's a no brainer. It's just a no brainer. And I think just being able to see that comparison in real time, like every single month, I have to pay this $5,300 in rent for one property, as opposed to here's this other quadplex that I own in Michigan City, paying my $2,300 mortgage, and and my private money lender until we're done with that loan, which we'll get into, I'm sure, later in the conversation. But this is just a no brainer. Making this transition, it just made sense for me to do. And honestly, it was just a matter of me finding somebody who I trusted enough to kind of lead me into that mindset shift, and to kind of transition from the rental arbitrage into purchasing short-term rental properties.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
it's a natural transition for you. I mean, it makes so much sense, and that's what I kind of share with people too when they ask me like, "What do you think about rental arbitrage? Should I go that route, or should I, stay with, or should I, invest in my own properties?" And to your point, like if you're with rental arbitrage, it's a great way you can get a deal right away, get it
Hmm.
set up, start cash flowing, but you're capped at that spread between the long term rent and the short term rent that you can, ask for. And so that's the only benefit. But with now, like you said, with Michigan City, like the four unit you have, you got a much bigger spread between your mortgage because that landlord was still making good money with you
Yeah.
renting as a long term tenant.
Yeah.
Um, so now you're making the entire spread and you get the appreciation benefit. So, next year it's worth more and 20 years from now it's worth, double or triple maybe. And then also your tenants are paying off or your guests are paying off your mortgage. So every month that gets
Yeah.
lower and lower and you get the tax benefit. So it's like you get like five different benefits as opposed to one much smaller benefit with the arbitrage. So if you're going to do it and you're going to commit as much as you have, I always try to point people toward the fact that you can own properties and even do it without using your own money, which we're going to get into. So that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, in the same vein, just getting back to that fear that I was feeling, if I start purchasing, I'm going to be that landlord that gets calls, hey, the hot water heater's not,
Hmm.
whatever goes out becomes my responsibility to get it fixed, as opposed to calling my landlords and saying, hey, this needs to get repaired or this is going on. So getting into the blueprint program, going through all the modules that you have in the program, gave me the information that I needed to really quell that fear and to
Mm.
really get over those fears. The more information, and that's just, I think, human nature. The more that we educate ourselves around things that we don't really understand, we can really lessen the fear that we have around whatever idea that we're having fear with. And I think getting all of that information and things that you just went over really helped to subside a lot of the fears that I was having about making that switch from rental arbitrage into purchasing.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we started working together last year, and then you pretty quickly you had a four unit under contract. Can you share a little bit about that deal and
Yeah.
what it was that kind of drew you toward that property?
Yeah, sure. So it was August of 2025 that I closed on that quadplex in Michigan City. And I want to say I joined your program in June of last year, possibly May or June, something like that.
Hmm.
So maybe about 3 months, 3 to 4 months before I put in my first offer. It was my first offer that I put in, and I ended up closing on the property.
It's amazing.
So it was quite exciting. It was a natural rush and a natural adrenaline that I had, that I'm now still constantly chasing that first rush that I had from my first property. It's an amazing feeling. It truly is, and you know all about it when you get a property under contract and going through the inspection period, and just doing your due diligence on making sure the numbers work and all of that. It's an adrenaline rush, and the first time was just so exciting for me. I just could not wait to do it again and again and again. But so I put my offer in on this 4 unit property. There were a lot of offers that got submitted on this property, and mine was, I guess, entered, was selected first. And I did have an amazing realtor that I had established a really, really good rapport with. So we put together a really good offer. We had an escalation clause that we submitted in there, just wanting to really try to make my offer stand out more than others.
Can you
So we
explain
got
that?
in.
What an escalation
Sure.
clause is? A lot of people don't know, haven't heard that before.
Absolutely. So if my offer that my purchase price offer that I submitted happened to be lower than maybe another investor, another person's offer that was submitted, escalation clause is, you say that I'm willing to go so much over any other offer that you received, like by 1,000 or 2,000, however much you want to make it, so that you can kind of beat out your competitors. And that was a whole new thing that I had learned too. Didn't know anything about offers or escalation clauses or anything about this. So I've learned a lot from realtors that I've gotten a lot of good relationships with, which is something that you really preach about in the modules, making sure that you're building rapport and relationships with realtors who can get you access to properties that might not even come on the market yet. And that happens to me quite frequently now. I'll get text messages or calls, say, "Hey, this is going on the market tomorrow. I already saw the property. If you're interested, we can put an offer in first thing in the morning," or however it goes. Um, so I got my offer accepted on the 4 unit property in Michigan City, and I'm like, holy crap. My first offer, it's been accepted. Now what? Now I
Yeah.
actually have to move forward with everything that I've learned in Kirby's program. And oh my goodness, all of these, anxieties, maybe I'll use that word, started to kind of come to the surface, but it wasn't a fear anymore, because I had learned all that I did with the modules and being a part of your weekly calls and getting a lot of my questions answered that I needed to have answered in your weekly meetings. And so they were more anxieties than fears at that point.
Mm.
So I knew that I needed to find a private money lender to come up with the 25% down payment and any minor renovations that this property might have need, plus the furnishings. So I'm like, okay, this is the part that I'm going to need to really get out of my comfort zone and start marketing to private money lenders.
And
Uh,
to just to jump in real quick too, like, so I, if people are listening to this, like, understand how the chain of events here, because first off, a lot of people will assume, well, if I don't have the money for a deal, then I can't do a deal. And that's just not the case. If you have an awesome deal, there's so many more people out there who want to put their money and make a great return on an awesome deal. So you have a great opportunity for people. So, waiting until you have all the money can hold you back a lot of
yeah,
times. So
yeah,
you so Stephanie went out and got a great deal under contract, knowing that it's possible, even though you had never done it before, but it's possible to raise private money to cover the difference between the loan that you're getting and what you need to close, and just went into it with the confidence that I'm going to figure this out because I have a great deal, and trusted your numbers, which I love. So, sorry, continue with the with what happened
yeah.
next.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. It's like, okay, I got this amazing deal. Now, how am I going to pay for it?
Yeah.
And in theory, I knew, right? I knew in theory, but now it was time to actually do it. So I start sending out my emails from the list of people that I already kind of generated on who I would be reaching out to, my friends and family members, friends of friends, Facebook friends, all of the above, who I would be sending these emails to, trying to get interest, to get private money lenders. So it was a huge, huge learning curve for me and a huge mindset shift, going from I have to ask people to give me money, I have to ask people to do me this huge favor, to I have this amazing opportunity that I can offer someone who wants to earn some passive income and maybe just doesn't know how, or maybe they're investing in stocks or mutual funds or real estate already and they're not seeing the return that they want to see. And I have something incredible to offer them, and they're going to be jumping all over this. That was a huge learning curve for me. And that mindset shift was one of the probably the most profound things that I have learned since starting your program, that has made all of the difference in the world for me, and I know will continue, because it's a continual, we never stop learning, we should never
Mm,
stop learning
yeah.
anyway. So that's going to be something that I have to, continually remind myself of, is like, you're not begging people for money out here, you're offering amazing opportunities. So
And that's such a great point. Like because if you think about what other people who don't have any real estate background or knowledge, but would love to be involved in real estate, what their options are, it's primarily like, mutual funds. It's like
yeah.
crypto, maybe. It's there's not
Hmm.
a lot of opportunity in to invest in a secured asset with potentially double digit returns that are fixed and secured and relatively lower risk. And so you're to be able to provide that to people. It's people like, yeah, that's I want to do that, and so it's not like you're like standing there with a tin cup and you're like, can you
Yes.
spare some change here? It's like,
Which is, of course,
no,
what I felt
I,
like in the beginning.
yeah. Oh, everyone does, and I felt the same way. But once you realize, people are like, "Wait a second, you're going to give me like a fixed 10%, 12% return? Like what? Wait,
Yeah,
what? Like that's
yeah,
that's incredible.
yeah,
Yeah, I'll sign up for that." And
yeah,
it's on this amazing deal that's going to cash flow well based off data. It's not
yeah,
just guessing. So
yeah.
yeah, that's such a huge mindset shift for people.
Yeah, yeah. And I will never forget that first private money lender for that property. She was she was a colleague of mine from the VA years prior. We had worked together for maybe just about 6 months. She was a consultant. She came to the mental health department at our VA as a consultant. Amazing, amazing woman. And she was one on my list that I sent my emails to on a regular basis. And in the course of trying to perfect how you market to private money lenders, because it's a constant growth process where you're making different iterations of emails that you send, different iterations of Facebook posts that you make. I tried one email with her. It was a little bit different than what I had been sending out. I kind of was saying, "Hey, here's what this is me. Here's what I've been doing. Here's what I've been up to. I currently have a property under contract. This is the property. Here are the numbers. This is what this deal is projected to make. Here is what I'm offering for any private money lender that wants this opportunity. I'm offering a 12% annualized interest on your loan." Um, and then I happen to end this particular email with, "If you know anybody who would be interested in an opportunity like this, please feel free to forward on this email." I didn't ask her directly because, again, I was still so stuck in that I cannot ask she was a consultant of mine. I can't ask her for money. I was in that mind frame still. And so within 24 hours, I get a text from her asking if we can set up a call. I was like, heck yeah, absolutely. So we were on the phone within 24, 48 hours. And she goes, "Hey, Stephanie." So we caught up. We did the small talk for a while. It had been maybe 2 years since I've spoken to her. And she said, "This is incredible. Me and my husband have been investing in stocks for several years, and we are absolutely frustrated about the little returns that we're seeing. And are you seriously doing 12% annualized interest? Is this an example, or is this like an actual thing that you're doing?" And I said, "No, it's just an actual deal that I have currently under contract that I'm looking for a private money lender to come in on." and help me out with the down payment, with the furnishings, and possibly any minor renovations that might be needed. And she said, well, okay, but you said in your email that I could forward this on to any of my friends or family or colleagues. I said, she goes, but can I do this? Can I invest on this deal with you? And I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, of course you can. She was like, because this is incredible. If this is a real live deal that you have under contract, me and my husband are all in. And it was then that I learned that trust and rapport has to almost precede the credibility that you have almost has to come before the capital.
Mm,
And it's just about um and word of mouth is huge. I've gotten so many different private money lender opportunities from this person who lent to me on my first deal because
mm,
they know her and they trust
yeah.
her. And if she's saying, hey, I trust this person and I've already invested X thousands of dollars with her and I'm getting my 12% annualized return, my passive income every single month, they're going to then trust me because she's credible to them and she's
Hmm.
giving her word, that I'm a solid person who's doing these amazing deals and I'm credible and I'm honest and I'm transparent. So that's kind of how it got started with, um, you know, getting my first private money lender and then getting a lot more referrals to have these meetings and these calls with other potential private money lenders that has gotten my list of private money lenders I'm up to about 15 right now of people that I've met with, whether in person or on the phone or on Zoom, and talking to them about what I'm doing with my short-term rental business, how long I've been doing it, the types of deals I try to get under contract, the type of returns they can expect to see. I've got to write about 15 people who are ready to go or almost ready to go on the
That's
next
awesome.
deal or so that I get under contract. So it's just been an amazing ride in that piece of it alone, finding private money lenders and learning how to actually market appropriately, how to market yourself and what you're doing appropriately so that you feel confident about how you're going to close on this deal. Because I
Hmm.
didn't have my own capital to come up with 25% down and to come up with all the furnishings. I didn't have that type of capital to do that. So I knew I had to figure out this whole private money lending thing.
Wow.